Saudi Arabia and Russia are two of the world's largest oil producers and exporters, and their decisions on how much oil to supply to the world have a significant impact on the price and availability of the fossil fuels. In recent months, both countries have announced voluntary cuts to their oil production, in addition to the agreed reductions by the OPEC Plus group of oil-producing nations, in an attempt to support the stability and balance of the oil market amid weak demand and rising uncertainties. Saudi Arabia, the de facto leader of OPEC, surprised the market in the first quarter of 2024 by announcing a unilateral cut of 1 million barrels per day BPD. Russia has also been reducing its oil production in line with the OPEC Plus deal, which calls for cuts of 2.2 million BPD from first quarter of 2024. However, Russia decided to cut an additional 500,000 BPD from its output until March. Russia's Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak said that this was a temporary measure to avoid oversupplying the market and to maintain a balance between supply and demand. The cuts also show how Saudi Arabia and Russia are trying to boost their revenues from oil exports, which are crucial for their economies and budgets. By reducing their supply, they hope to create a tighter market and push up prices. However, the cuts also entail risks and challenges for Saudi Arabia and Russia. By restraining their output, they are ceding market share to other producers, especially the United States, which is the world's top oil producer. India is one of the world's largest consumers of oil, and its demand is expected to grow significantly in the coming years. According to the International Energy Agency IEA, India's oil demand will rise by 50% by 2030, reaching 7.2 million barrels per day, and by 120% by 2050, reaching 9.2 million barrels per day. This is in contrast to a global expansion of only 7% by 2030 and a decline of 8% by 2050. India is the world's third largest economy in terms of purchasing power parity, and has been growing at an average rate of 6.6% per year since 2000. Oil is a key input for various sectors of the economy, such as transport, industry, agriculture, and power generation. As India's GDP per capita increases, so does its oil consumption per capita, which is still less than half of the world average. India has decided to reduce its oil imports from Russia and increase its purchases from Saudi Arabia, citing unattractive pricing as the main reason. This is a significant shift in India's energy strategy, as Russia has been one of its major suppliers of crude oil for decades. In an earlier statement, Hardeep Singh Puri, the Indian oil minister, had acknowledged that Indian oil imports from Russia had fallen due to unattractive pricing rather than to a problem with payment. The decision to switch from Russian to Saudi oil comes at a time when India is facing a severe energy crisis with soaring fuel prices, power cuts, and coal shortages. Saudi Arabia is India's second largest supplier of oil after Iraq. The move also reflects the changing geopolitical dynamics in the region as India seeks to balance its relations with Russia and Saudi Arabia, both of which are key strategic partners for New Delhi. India has a long-standing defense and security cooperation with Russia, but has also developed closer ties with Saudi Arabia in recent years. The new oil producers in other regions are also willing to offer better discounts on crude oil than the Russian producers. Russia, on its part, has expressed its willingness to increase its oil exports to India and to offer more flexible terms and conditions. Russia has also proposed to build a dedicated pipeline to transport its oil to India. However, these proposals face many technical, financial, and geopolitical challenges and are unlikely to materialize in the near future. However, some analysts have argued that India's move may not have a significant impact on the oil market, as it represents only a small fraction of the total demand and supply. They have also pointed out that India may resume its imports from Russia if the pricing and quality issues are resolved, or if there are any disruptions in the supply from Saudi Arabia due to political or security reasons. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to take a moment to subscribe.